I was sitting around the other day with my business partners, and we're planning the next speaker seminar, which I'll tell you more about later. But in sort of talking about the discussion of planning that, we sort of had this conversation about, what I would do now if I was getting started. It's sort of that age-old question of, if you knew what you knew now and you had to start all over again, what would you do? And so I was kind of thinking about that, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with my story and sort of how I got started in speaking, but basically I grew up in the foster care system and sort of had this troubled childhood, and then in high school became a class clown and this big disruption. And then we'd have a bunch of speakers that would come to our school, and I just sort of thought they had other jobs and just sort of swung by on the way home from work. And to be honest with you, most of the speakers that came to our school were like horrible and boring, and they had a good message, but no one listened to them because they didn't know how to present their message in a proper way. And so it was sort of interesting for me looking back into how I got into this is that there were 2 points of entry. Number one, almost every speaker that came to my school was horrible, and so it was sort of good for my self-esteem. I thought, at least I could do a little bit better than that guy. Like, that guy was so horrible and embarrassing. Like, I think I could at least be a little bit better than that person was. And then on the other side, there was this one speaker that came to our school that was amazing. He had a good story, he had a good message, he was funny, he got everybody's attention, the message stuck. And that was sort of on the other side of it, really inspiring to me, and also made me think, like, man, being a professional speaker isn't something lame. Like, it's not, it's something legitimate, can make a difference, you can make a living at it. This is amazing. The first thing is that if you don't make it in the business of professional speaking, it's for one of 2 reasons. Either you don't have a good message, or no one knows about you. And for most of us, and I'm guessing probably for you, the issue is issue number 2, right? You have a good message, you have something legitimate that an audience would benefit from hearing, but the issue is, and the reason that you're not getting paid as often or as much as you would like to get out there and share that message, is that you don't know specifically how to market yourself, who you need to be contacting, how you need to be contacting them. Because most people have a good message. And by the way, if you're on my email list and you're a jerk and you're just in this business for the money or something, you don't have a good message, you don't really care about helping people's lives, you are a jerk, please remove yourself from my email list. Like, seriously, I have no interest in helping you. But if you're like me, if you have a good message, and you do have something that you believe, without question, an audience would benefit from, you have to understand how to market yourself. You have to understand how to market your message. Otherwise, I don't care how good of a speaker you are, how good of a message you have, how life-changing your story, your message is, if no one hears it, it doesn't make a difference. The second thing that I wish I would have done was got a mentor in this business. Now, to be honest, the reasons I didn't do this earlier was probably because, I was, my ego, I'm like, I can make this on my own. Maybe it's like the foster kid syndrome in me, like, you got to push through this, and you got to do it by yourself, and you got to climb the mountain by yourself, and, other sort of things where you pump your fist like this. I didn't mean to turn this into Jersey Shore, but other things like, I just thought, like, to be a successful entrepreneur, you got to do it by yourself. You got to climb the mountain by yourself. But the truth is, that's just an idiotic way to think about it, because here's the thing, mentors help you get to where you want to go so much quicker. I've always said it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, but honestly, I believe with a mentor, with the right mentor, they can shave that time in half. So that is something that I would have done much sooner. I sort of slap myself now for not doing that sooner. The third thing that I would do if I had to start all over again is that I would invest in my business, right? Because here's the thing, you have to understand that if you're going to make a living as a professional speaker and speak or write books or whatever sort of things you want to be doing, you have to understand that it is a business. Yes, we are fortunate in the sense that this business is something where we can help people and we can better people's lives, etc. But ultimately, it is a business. And like any business, you have to invest in it. The more that you invest intelligently in your business, the more that you will benefit from that. Not only in the number of people that you can influence, but also in the amount of money that you'll make. And so the better things you can do with that, you can take care of your family, all those sorts of things that are important. I mean, think about it, right? Like if you were, starting like a Subway franchise or something, lame like that. Sorry if you own a Subway franchise. If you were to start a Subway franchise or something like that, you would have to pay I think it's $100,000 just to get the rights to open up a Subway. Like $100,000, and that's it. And then you have to go and make sandwiches all day and come home smelling like chicken parmesan. So you have to invest in your speaking business. This is something very important to understand. Now, I'm not saying that you throw your money away at things that are idiotic, that aren't the right things to be investing in. But if you understand what to invest in and you spend money in the right places, it will ultimately come back to benefit you. The fourth thing, I think this is number 4 anyway, that I wish I would have done much, much sooner was be myself. This one is huge, and unfortunately I just see a lot of people learn this the hard way, or they never learn it at all. When I first started speaking, like, I would wear a suit and tie, I wouldn't speak like I wouldn't talk like myself, I was just totally not myself. Why? Because, I looked at like Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and these people that are in the industry, and I thought, well, they're successful, so in order to be successful, I need to be exactly like them. No, that's not how it works. You see, you can look at people and their business models and, maybe model parts of your business after them, but you should never ever model your message or yourself after them. Because if you do, you're not unique. And being unique is one of the biggest keys to making it and being successful in the speaking business. And there is no secret to being unique other than be yourself. Like, be yourself and you will be unique. So anyway, I used to wear a suit and tie, I'd do all this stuff, and I can tell you that when I sat down and looked through my speech and said, how would I talk to my friend, right? Like if my buddy, the guy that's shooting this video right now, like if my buddy Ezra was going through some issue in his life and we were hanging out and having lunch or something, like how would I talk to him, right? I wouldn't wear a suit and tie, and I wouldn't be all robotic and formulaic, right? I'd probably kind of make fun of his situation or joke around about it, but also at some point I'd be like, dude, cut the crap, you deserve better than that, and I'd also try to give him some strategies or whatever. So I thought, that's kind of who I am, so that's who I need to be on stage. I don't need to be something that I'm not. So bottom line, this is probably the best piece of advice I can give you is be yourself. Thing number 5 is that I would understand who's booking me. Right? This is if you speak to student audiences, this is a unique challenge that you have. Is that who is hiring you and then who you're speaking to, these are two different people. Right? Like my audience is comprised of skeptical 17-year-olds, but the person that's hiring me is like a 41-year-old woman. So I have to understand how to appeal to both audiences. And frankly, this is something that I was horrific at in the beginning. There are many strategies that I can teach you about understanding this, but it's really important that you understand specifically who your potential client is, right? I call my potential client Jane Arkansas. She's 41, she's female, I know the sorts of books she reads and magazines she subscribes to. Not because I'm weird and I'm a stalker or something, but because I need to understand sort of what her world is and the things that are important to her. Because think about it, like if I'm her, I'm hiring you to come into the school and speak to my 1,000 students. So I need to know, number 1, that I can trust you and that you have a good message and that you're credible and that you're not going to burn me like the guy 4 years ago did or something. But also you need to have a bit of that factor where I know that my students are going to be able to relate to you and understand your message and that you can present it in a way that they will get it. So I would understand that much quicker. And sort of the final thing, and then I'll wrap this up, is that it kills me to think that I didn't do this so much sooner. It's just absurd. Is that I would understand the power of an email list. It's very important that from early on, as soon as you can, you understand how to do this. And I can show you the strategies, the ways to do it. It's one thing, because here's the thing, most people do this the wrong way. Seriously, 90% of speakers, people that I've worked with, seen their stuff, they do this the wrong way. They have the right idea, I need to have an email list, I need to have a newsletter or something, which is not true. But they do it the wrong way. And so I can sort of show you the way that's the best way, that's most effective to do that, but I don't necessarily have the time to do that right now. So those are the 6 things that I would do if I was getting started today. These are things that are very important, that are very crucial, and if you understand how to do them and you do them the right way, and you have a good message and you have a good heart, and the right desire to get out there and speak to audiences, if you do these things, you will totally be successful in this industry.